Hello everyone, this is Raven here with another battle replay. So today we got the Foul Dawi versus the Vampire Counts. So they're trying to come in here with a good grudging to give against these Vampire Counts coming into their territory, but we're just not going to listen to any of that. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at the two armies while they're marching around, because we're going to have a little bit of spare time before the two armies actually clash. Over here you can see actually I have two units of Skeleton Warriors, one getting a little bit ahead of himself, trying to get out there and do some damage before the battle even starts, but I'm going to have to bring him back. So anyways, these guys are just fodder. They're going to be thrown into the tar pit with the Dawi and just get chewed up and spat back out. And that's completely fine by me. I don't even care. And then in the back, you can actually see that I have the Sternsman regeneration on an infantry unit, anti-infantry bonuses, and really good combat stats, high armor, and they're going to be doing a lot of work for me today. And then on either side of him, you can see that I have two units of Great Guard with great weapons flanking him. They're going to be getting in there with that extremely high armor piercing damage and very good armor and very high health pool as well to be able to get lots of healing and good work done against the Dawi, because it's typically good to bring a lot of anti-armor infantry against the Dawi, because of course they do have lots of highly armored units themselves. And then to make up the main contention of this army, in the back you can see I have the two units of Crypt Horrors get in there with their extremely high damage, good armor piercing and poison attacks, able to help reduce the damage and speed of the already very slow Dawi. And then you can see I have two Mortis Engine, one actually being the Claw of Nagash variety, and then I brought the Corpse card over here, which is the Balefire variety. I actually kind of messed up with this one. I meant to bring the Unholy Lodestone, but this one is the Balefire variety, which actually reduces the Winds of Magic recharge rate based on the number of enemies in range of its effect, when I meant to bring the Unholy Lodestone, which actually provides mass regeneration just like the Mortis Engines do. So what I was hoping to do is just be able to stick in this army and be able to hold out against the Dawi, who are also a pretty tanky faction, and just kind of have a slugfest. See if my army could win it out over there, is due to the mass regeneration of my Mortis Engine and my Corpse Cart, which I had messed up. Sadly, I brought the wrong one. And then in the front, you can see my lord, the mighty Kemmler himself. So he's just like, I just want to get in there, coach. Put me in. I just want to do some good work. I never get to play ball. Just let me get in there and crack some skulls. So you can actually see that he has a couple items with him today that are actually going to make him a very interesting lord choice for this type of army. So he has the Cloak of Mist and Shadows, himself being a very squishy lord with only 15 armor and a very low health pool. This legendary item is actually going to make him extremely tanky. Adding that 80% physical resistance is just going to make him amazing in the front line, except for any units that might be able to do magical damage, which will be able to negate this resistance that he has. But that's not a very common theme among the Dawi, so we'll see how this turns out. And it also gives him the Strider effect, so running through forest or swamps or bogs or anything like that won't affect him. He'll just be able to glide straight through them. He's just going to be like a little mermaid just swimming through the waters. Alright, and over here you can see the Chaos Tomb Blade. So this is actually an extremely interesting legendary item that I feel like people overlooked and haven't actually seen. So it actually resurrects dead combatants, replenishes HP, and gives a +8 melee attack. Now, it can only be used on 3 units, only has a 30-meter range, and can only be used when he is engaged in combat. However, when he is engaged in combat, tied in with the Cloak of Mist and Shadows, hopefully, he'll be actually able to do pretty good damage himself, having that 320 weapon strength against the Dawi, but also able to cast a pretty much constant invocation and a heck around him, which also heals and resurrects dead bottles. So it's like a constant spell going off, but free of Winds of Magic, so allowing actual big heals coming from the invocation and a heck. And then some pretty good raised dead action with 7 uses, being able to summon the zombies or skeletons wherever I want. Curse of Years. So I'm hoping to be able to reduce the attack of all the Dawi if they're in a blob. The -34 melee attack right there, you can see, so they're going to be missing way more hits than they normally would. And you can see that the +15 ability recharge, now this is going to be pretty crucial. If he chooses to bring Ruin Lords or Ruin Smiths or anything like that, whenever their abilities are on cooldown and you pop this off, they're going to have another 15 seconds to wait for the Ruin of Oath and Steel, for that more armor, or the Master Ruin of Wrath and Ruin for the damage, or any of the damage negation buffs that they get. So that's going to be pretty cool. I'm hoping to do some good work with the spells and Kemmler himself. Over here, we can take a look at the Dawi forces. So you can see in the front he has 2 units of regular rangers. Another one somewhere, I think. He actually has, I guess it's only just 2 with the crossbow variety, and in the back he has 3 rangers with great weapons. Now they actually do have great weapons, excuse me. So they'll be doing pretty good armor piercing damage in the front lines if they do get engaged, and they have an extremely high missile damage. So this one right here, you can see 45, and this is over 10 seconds. So they actually do 6 missile damage, 26 armor piercing missile damage, but it's with a 50. What is it? 5.6 reload time on the unit of renown and a 7.2 on them. So these guys actually throw a little bit faster, so they have that little bit higher damage with the missile damage, but they have relatively the same stats. So 6 and 26, so it's basically the same thing. And then for his main line right here, we actually have 3 units of hammerers. So these guys are just going to be just the most brutal of the Dawi forces here today. We got the Peak Gate Guard getting in there with their magical attacks and the armor sundering. So anybody struck by these guys is not only going to be hit with that extremely high weapon damage, good armor piercing, but have negative 30 armor, as well as magical attacks hitting them. So if Kemmler gets swamped by these guys, he's going to be in for a rough time. He's not going to be happy. I'm going to immediately want to run him away. He's just going to get swamped and just crushed, pretty much. Over here, you can see for his leadership, he brought a Ruin Smith, and he brought the Ruin of Wrath and Ruin, Master Ruin of Stromny Redbeard, so that +4 leadership, +8 melee attack, good for them. And then you can see the Master Ruin of Grothai, so another 8 leadership. So this is going to make his front line very resilient. They're not going to want to run away from a fight. For the Ruin Lord over here, you can see that he actually has the Master Ruin of Negation, -44 damage when this bad boy is active. That is just ridiculous. I hate this Ruin so much. Whenever you have the Dawi and a blob, and he popped this, you're just pretty much going to sit there and not see any damage done to them. Especially when tied in with these hammerers and their extremely high armor. They're already really good leadership tied in with the leadership buffs from both these Ruin Lords and the 44 damage resistance. That's just a bad time. I hate it. It's just so horrible to watch. And then over here, the Master Ruin of Wrath and Ruin. So this is going to be doing some good work when put against high count units. So over here, you can see that I have like the Skeleton Warriors and Grave Guard, which are all high mass units. So 120 models and 90 models. It's good to use them on these kind of units, or cavalry, with their slightly lower but very, very low health pools considered to the 6,200, the Grave Guard with great weapons. And then in the back over here, you can actually see that he has 1 cannon. So if he can get some good positioning, he's going to be able to get some good shots off against my Crypt Horrors or my Mortis Engines. And then mixed in all around, he has his miners, so just, some good fodder. Be able to throw them away, just kind of like I do with my Skeleton Warriors over there. So we'll go ahead and see how this plays out. We're going to fast forward a little bit. We just have a little bit of scurrying around. Both the armies trying to find each other. They don't know where I am. I generally know that he's over here, so I'm just going to go through the woods after a moment and find him. So I think he just kind of figures out, hey, he's over here in the woods, so I'm going to go ahead and position on this hill. But he's not actually going to be able to get this cannon up here in time, so that's good for me. I'm actually able to get rid of all the cannon fire that I was hoping to get rid of. The artillery pretty much being nullified until middle of the game, hopefully, when the engagements actually start. So over here you can see my units are going to start chucking their way through the trees and just lay eyes on the Dawi for the first time. Just realize this is going to be a pretty brutal fight. So this heavy ranged unit contingent over here is actually going to be able to chew through my large units, and that's kind of what I'm worried about. Especially with the fact that I brought the wrong corpse cart, that's just going to be brutal. If my Mortis Engines get taken out, I'm going to lose all that mass regen except from what Kemmler gives, and he's only going to be able to hit 2 other units besides himself. So the mass regen of this entire area right here, covering 4 units, including a Crypt Horror, that's all going to be gone, and that's going to make me pretty depressed. So you can see that he's already starting to focus down my Claw of Nagash down here, and look at the damage, it's just piling in. And they're going to start getting some really good volleys off. I don't even think he's going to be able to engage into melee before he gets killed. So you can just see that, oh my god, this is just the most sad sight I ever saw. And you can see that he's actually also throwing out the Master Ruin of Wrath and Ruin. This is doing great damage. Already did 600 damage, 700, 800, 900 damage just from 1 Ruin being popped on these guys. It's just painful. You can see my corpse cart right there blows up due to a cannon shot, and my front line engaged. It has begun. the Foul Dowie versus my vampire count. So you can see over here these trash mobs of my skeleton warriors are just going to get plowed through by these hammerers who are just being buffed up to no end by their leadership. My cryptors in here are actually going to be able to do some pretty good work. I actually was able to punch through the front line. I stuck both of my units of cryptors straight into the front group of the Peak Gate Guard, and they were able to push back through onto the Ulthar's Raiders and the other Rangers back here. Or where are they? The Ulthar's Raiders are a little bit further back, so we'll reach them momentarily. But right now I'm trying to shut down that ranged core because they are just chewing through all my units. So they're probably going to start turning and shooting any second now at any exposed unit, and it's just going to be a very painful time. Over here you can see that these cannons actually aren't able to do that much. It does say they are firing currently, but they're going to get obstructed right there. Obstructed immediately. And you can see the Curse of Years going off, so I'm trying to lower down that melee attack of the hammers right here. You can see that it's only at 18, so it's worse than what my skeleton warriors had at the beginning of the fight. And here you can see that my crypt warriors are doing good work. I'm trying to heal them up and keep them healthy, but his ranged units are in here just firing away at my other Mortis engine, and soon are going to start targeting my crypt warriors. So this Mortis engine is actually getting focused down pretty hard, and it's probably going to go down pretty soon. In the back you can see that I did use Raised Dead a couple times. You can see skeletons mixed in with his rangers, and they're going to be doing good work. These rangers don't have very high armor, so these skeleton warriors are actually going to be doing pretty good work for me in the back right here, trying to shut down his range core. And you can see that my Mortis engine goes into mass crumbling. It just goes ahead and disintegrates. Over here you can see more Raising of the Dead. My unit's coming out of the ground slowly, trying to get rid of this cannon before I can do more work and trap these rangers. So in the front you can see that his miners are actually holding out pretty well, but I have my Sternsmen engaged against 3 units of miners right here. So with their regeneration and their high melee defense, they're going to be doing great. Even though these miners have pretty good armor-piercing damage, they're not going to be able to chew through these Sternsmen fast enough with their low melee attack and melee defense, and they're just going to get slaughtered. So you can see that they're already up to 32 kills. They haven't even lost a single model yet. Over here you can see that the range cores are also starting to target down my Cryptors. One goes ahead and crumbles and dies. The other one's getting focused down pretty hard here. I'm trying to just charge them, do as much damage as possible to these cameras. Over here you can see that his Ruin Lord is doing amazing, just chomping through all these Graveguard with great weapons. I start sicking these Graveguard on these hammers, trying to double team them, and over here my Skeleton Warriors are actually doing alright, trying to keep these miners entertained. In the back of more Raised Dead. I'm kind of running low on Winds of Magic, so I go ahead and just use a regular zombie instead of Skeleton Warriors, just trying to save that Winds of Magic as much as possible. Over here in the middle, you can see my Cryptors are about to die. This is the final volley coming in, and they just plummet. They are done. They can't handle any more of this damage. They say, we're tired, just pull me out, substitute me, I'm done. I can't handle this anymore. Over here, you can see that my Graveguard with Great Weapon are doing pretty good against these hammers, even though they have that extremely high attack and pretty good damage of armor-piercing damage mixed with just like really high regular damage. Over here, you can see that their range units are going to be firing in, trying to hit this blob, but you can see that they're actually quite obstructed over here on this right side because of all these Dowie in their way, because they're shooting downhill, and these guys are just right in their way, and they're like, WTF, bro, get out of my way, we need to kill these people. In the back, you can see that I'm going to be go ahead and try and send in this corpse cart. He's just fodder at this point. I'm using him as a meat shield, just trying to soak up as much damage as possible. You can see that he's got all his ranged units all the way spread out, and they're going to be able to do as much work as possible right here. In the middle, you can see Kemmler's trying to face off with the Ruin Lord over here, and it's just going to be a bad time for him. So he's getting knocked around right there. He's not happy. He's almost near his healing cap too, so I'm probably going to have to try and activate his Cloak of Mist and Shadow pretty soon, but you can see that the Ruin Lord's actually getting pretty low at 1500 HP. In the back here you can see that I finally broken through. Finally able to stick my Graveguard onto his Rangers over here and trying to shut down that extremely high missile damage. Over here you can see that they're just chucking their axes, able to cut down a few right there. But as soon as these guys get engaged, that's going to be it. Even though they do have that good armor-piercing damage, it's just not going to be good enough. They got that advantageous downhill charge. These guys just have more models, and they have had better stats overall and higher armor. So they're going to be able to be doing some good work over here. Over here, they're doing some pretty good flanking damage with these shots into the side, so I'm going to be taking a lot of casualties. But in the end, these guys are going to rout, they're going to rout, they're going to rout. And then over here in the front line, you can see Kemmler is just going to town. Got the Cloak of Mist and Shadows activated, and his Ruin Lord starts to try and scurry away. He's just going to get in there and give him one last punch in the face, and he says, fuck this, I'm out. Tries to start routing, has -5 leadership breaks. These miners break. They break. These guys are going to get engaged by zombies, and then the fear is going to kick in, rout this unit, friendly routing is going to rout them, and then mass army routing is going to win the day. And that was a very, very atrocious fight, ladies and gentlemen. That was rough. I can't believe I won that. I was so sad when I saw all those ranged units and they just completely countered my build. It was just the saddest day ever. But in the end, mighty Kemmler over here, you know, just looking pimp with his big old cloak, trying to shield himself like a little warm snuggie, got in there and faced down a Ruin Lord by himself and won that bitch. So pretty happy with how my army did today. You know, we did get countered pretty hard, but in the end, I think that mass healing was able to save my front line for the most part at the beginning, and able to make them last through the end, as well as tied in with the healing and resurrection from Kemmler and his magic. So very good game to my opponent, and hope to see you again on ladder. And that was a very good time. Go ahead and look at these stats here. These hammerers, 181 kills on each of them. Almost like, so over 100 on these two, 51 on these one, but that was some high grade damage that they did. They were targeting really juicy units. All these Grave Guard were intercepted by these guys, so each one of these did some great work, as well as these Rangers being able to focus down and take out how much was that? 3,000 resources on their own, combined with the 2 Cryptors, another 1,600. So 4,600 resources taken out by these 5 units. That was just painful. Not to mention my corpse cart, but in the end, he just had way too many ranged units. I feel like if he had got rid of maybe these 2 Rangers themselves and put more into the front line, a little bit more sturdier front line than miners, maybe gave them blasting charges, that battle would have been his. I was just so blocked up and blobbed up. He could have done extremely good damage with any explosives, especially if his cannon was able to fire from distance. And you can see that it's actually chevroned up. I'm not sure if it did pretty good damage during the fight, or if it was just chevroned up prior to the beginning of the battle for more damage. But either way, good game, and I'll catch y'all later. Leave a like if you like what y'all saw. Give me criticism, as always, in the comment section, and subscribe if you want to see more. Catch y'all later.